retreat of heroes, legends old. In his stories their glories unfold. Baz the Bard with strings of gold. His heart cries out the tales he's told.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Meta Report. It's week 4, it's Road to Nationals, and I've been joined by Scott Mines. How's it going, Scott?
It's going very well, thank you, Baz. Nice to have had my week of unrelenting work, but away from the show. So I'm refreshed. I'm ready to take some guesses and embarrass myself on the internet as to how Road to Nationals went this week. How are you?
I'm very well. Yeah, very busy as usual. Family problems. Mother-in-law is in hospital with broken ankle and broken shin, so it's all hands to the pump, and we'll see how it goes. So, but I've still got the Meta Report done. So thank
Look
you.
At you.
I know, it's not bad.
I admire the devotion. There you go. Broken legs stop no one.
Indeed. Right. So we'll do week 3 sort of like results. We've all said, there's been a few people that have said teary goodbyes to old Viserai. Mr. Big Purple himself has gone. But this week we're going to be seeing the new, we'll say, contenders to the throne. What shall rise to the top now that Viserai has gone? More than likely, more New, more Aurora, and maybe a bit of Prism.
I think those are all fair guesses. It's funny, I've kind of been doing my best to keep an eye out on some of the metagame breakdowns for RTNs as they've been coming in, not just from the UK, but across the world. And I've been really surprised by some of the ones I've seen so far. A couple of big ones in Manila where like KO is the second most played hero. It's like, okay, maybe someone knows something I don't. But yeah, for the most part, I expect a lot of the same. I think the top 3, maybe top 4 heroes here, pretty likely to kind of gobble up the rest of the share Viserai previously took.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would just like, I just take what I know at this point and try and get a qualification. If they can get a win, it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can figure out the rest of them at a game before Pro Tour London, but for now, you don't need to put in quite as much work.
So top 3 going into week 3. Dash at 940, not picked up any points.
No, she's going nowhere. I don't think somehow. But
Zen 937. So he is on 63 points to go. So whether or not he picks up a whole slew of points this week, we don't know. And Azalea's on 836. So I don't think she's going this week. But Zen is nearly there.
I think Zen is the only one who mathematically could go before London because there are a couple. I think there's a couple battle hardens and a calling or something maybe before the Pro Tour, so it's not 100% guaranteed that he makes it the way there. But I'll be gobsmacked if Dash isn't still with us, and I very much expect Azalea to be as well. So.
Okay. So let's see how these week's results pan out. Let's go to our first place. We are going to Sweden. We are going to Spelgrottan in Uddevalla.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a bit of a lopsided room, isn't it?
Well, I suppose people are jumping on the Syndra train. Maybe stock's been quite good in Sweden now.
Maybe.
But yeah, it is a bit heavy-sided towards Syndra. We know it's going to be aggro. It's been aggro all this time. It wasn't Viserai, but the other heroes have been up there.
I mean, even outside of that, just look at how much Ninja's in this room. It's 29 players, and a third of that room is Ninja, which is just genuinely well, actually slightly more than that if you consider the one lone Phi down there who's very clearly a brave soul to be giving it a shot over Syndra. But this is a cool room. I love to see Betsy out in action. Fair play to you. I imagine it's some kind of count your blessings nonsense, but nonetheless, always love to see an underrated hero. Same with Bravo. There's always these rogue guardians over in Sweden. It's very much their neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But a few more exciting ones to see here. A couple of KO popping up, a couple of Fang. Maybe people are starting to get that hero figured out. I've seen some whispers and some builds over the last couple of weeks that have me a little bit excited. And kind of a skew of one-offs after that of people that are no doubt they're specialists on their heroes, I'd have thought.
Yeah, Fang's picking up some popularity, that's for sure. So maybe people are starting to figure this out. If you're going to go and watch this event, it was streamed on Twitch on Day MGG. So if I remember, I'll try and put the link in the show notes. Okay, so you can go and watch some of that action there. Okay,
he will not, and I'm sorry about that.
I'll try my best. Right, okay. So let's go into the top 4. Okay, Ivan Ilecki on Syndra. Jan Ripper on Syndra, Alexander Carling on Prism, and Stefan Pearson on Jarl. And Stefan's got an RTN and a Skirmish under his belt.
Love to see me some Jarl representation, given there was only one in the room at the top of this format. I think it's definitely a deck that stands to gain a lot moving forward if the format continues to be quite as aggressively slanted. So very excited. That being said, I have to imagine the Prism matchup still kind of sucks. Admittedly, she's not as good as she once was at leveraging those auras. She doesn't have access to her Vestige of Soul and all the rest of it anymore, but I can't imagine that's something that you're happy to see. So my heart tells me that Prism should be favoured there, and I'll be very happy if she isn't. Beyond that, I mean, the Syndra mirror is Syndra's going to win that one, but Jan Ripper's name is very cool, so I'm going with Jan.
Okay, if in doubt, go with the cool name. Right, it was Ivan Alecki on Syndra versus Alexander Carlin. So you were correct with Prism having the upper hand versus Jarl.
Yeah, I do truthfully think she has the upper hand against Syndra as well, so my best guess would be that this is Alexander taking this down.
Mate, you're so confident. There we go. You're off to a winner. Alexander
it's almost like
wins.
I've started preparing for a Pro Tour or something, and I have a better idea about how these matchups go, but who knows?
Nice. Gold foil wasn't open, so we don't know what he got.
Fair enough.
But everybody knows. Everybody wants snappies, so hopefully you got one. Let's go. We're staying in Sweden. Let's go over to our next location. Quite a few events happen in Sweden this weekend.
Big week 3 for them, I think, by the looks of it.
Yeah, 3 events. Playoteket in Malmo, a very small event. This is the smallest that we are going to see. Only 8 players. Normally, you do see some players come over from Norway to this store. Maybe sort of like the local Norway store had an event on as well. So that might be why.
Malmo is a great little spot. It's sometimes a little bit difficult to get to for folks as well if you're not particularly local. But I'll be honest, there's a certain magic to this metagame breakdown. Look at this. I love the fact, it doesn't matter how small this event is, the fact that no one is playing a duplicate hero. Everyone's just turned up on their preferred flavor of the week. I love that. That's so cool. And more importantly, no ninjas at this one, which is something I'm not sure we're going to see very often.
No, not at all. But I'm sure New's going to be in every event. Right, so this is the top 4, because I don't know, because they basically only had 8 players, so there's essentially no top cut. Okay, so these are the top 4, and let's go on to the semi-final. Okay, so we've got Fang versus New, Nicholas Holm versus Linus Rodhammer. Okay, so that sounds like a name straight out of a D&D adventure.
It certainly does. I'm pretty sure I've messed with a dwarf or two named after Linus, but that's a very interesting matchup. Admittedly, Fang is a deck I just don't have that much experience on outside of a little bit of the Redline version recently kind of popularized by Mara Faris. So I really don't know how this matchup is supposed to go. And without any of that knowledge, it's just kind of hard to bet against New in a spot like this. She should be like kind of anyone who's able to kind of leverage that point of interaction feels like they have the ability to punish an opponent, which I don't think Fang necessarily does in the same way New does. So I'm going to lean the way of Miss Fail, and I'm going to secretly kind of hope I'm wrong.
Okay. You are wrong. Well done, Nicholas Holm. Well done. One of the first ever wins for Fang. So, flipping good job. Brilliant. And the gold foil, it's a cracker, Rosetta Thorn. That's what they opened.
Ooh.
Yeah, nice one too.
That's not too bad at all. Hopefully you're a commoner enjoyer, or maybe a bit of Living Legend, and get your leverage out of that.
Skirmish season's just around the corner, just in time. So that was Playoteket. Let's go on to the last one in Sweden this week. Wraps up our Swedish coverage. So Mindstage Landala, which is kind of like in Gothenburg. So like last time, it seems that people do like a bit of ninja in Sweden. 8 Syndra.
Yeah. Maybe word's getting around as to the common consensus in that neck of the woods. That's literally 4 times as many Syndra as any other hero in this room, which is quite frankly a bit of a startling statistic. Outside of that, some sweet ones here. Love to see Slippy. I think the deck is still massively underrated by a lot of people who think your assassin mirror matches are just too bad. And I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
Little bit surprised on how little Aurora we're seeing here. It's a deck I've really kind of expected to thrive in the wake of Viscerai disappearing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a lot of what you expected outside of that overwhelming majority of Syndra.
So quite surprising, no new.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Just double check. I just said it and then a double check going, am I actually right on that? Yeah, no new. No, it's just,
yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's a lot more palatable to be a Slippy if you're the only assassin in the room. So yeah, that makes an awful lot of sense to me.
Yeah, this will be a sort of like a double header on the west coast of Sweden. Right, okay, so let's go into the top four. Okay, Peter Brass, commentary extraordinaire. We saw him at Fab Sweden doing commentary on the Nationals, playing Slippy. Nicholas Benkston on Aurora. Michael Vedemar on Syndra. He's got a skirmish under his belt. And Tov Hansen on Syndra.
Obviously, coin flipping here again on the Syndra matchup. We'll go with Tov this time, just for the sake of variety. Okay. Slippy Aurora is definitely an interesting matchup, I find. I personally have been a really big fan on being on the Slippy side of this matchup. It's part of why I like the deck. So I'm hoping Peter's having similar results. So we'll go Tov Peter in this case.
Okay. So why has Slippy got the advantage with Aurora? Because she's just spamming her hand.
Yeah, so it's a bit weird, but Slippy is very much an aggressive deck first and an assassin second, more than the other way around, where so many of the other assassins focus on their levels of disruption. Slippy's really good at pushing damage while he does it, and that kind of leaves him in these weird spots where he can present a lot of somewhat awkward damage early on that Aurora feels obliged to take to kind of keep her turned together, and then throw the piece that matters on the end and kind of force the issue, which means he's just winning a lot of turn cycles. Cards like Art of Desire are really good into Aurora. There's a red density that means they're often just going to be way better than Snatches. They're gaining life, they're eating cards. And I think most of the turn cycles just break Slippy's way, given the choice, and that's kind of why I prefer to be on that side of things. Okay.
So Peter Brass versus Tov. That's what you went for.
That's the guess.
So let's see. Okay, so it doesn't count.
Man,
for
a
semis,
solid zero. Nah, I mean, it totally does. But yeah, I mean, fair enough. Both of these decks just incredibly powerful. Yeah, Cinderella, coin flip. And it's entirely possible that people are figuring out this format that Aurora, especially as she gets her new Armory deck toys, is going to be favored in that matchup. So not surprised to see this. That being said, I really do prefer Aurora in this matchup overall. In the case of Syndra, I do think she's slightly ahead. So I'm going to hope Nicholas took this down.
Let's have a look. It was. Well done, dude. You're doing really well. Aurora's picking up places. Rune blades are so hard, aren't they? It's just like one rune blade goes, another rune blade sort of like, takes over the mantle. So we've seen sort of like Chain, we've seen Briar, we've seen Viserai, we've seen Aurora. It's just like, their heroes are so powerful.
I can't admit to myself that Aurora is a rune blade. She's a lightning ninja that gets to play Grasp of the Arknight. That's what she is. And I understand the sentiment totally. It's cool to see rune blades kind of finding their footing again. I'll never forget the kind of infamy of no rune blade being registered at PT Amsterdam whatsoever. There was a solid zero, and then the following set we just have Rosetta bang. Viserai and all the high power goodness comes through, and we kind of remedy ourselves back to Flesh and Rune Blades. But I think outside of that, it's been a very Rune Blade centric game outside of that small little dip for a while. And Aurora does take up that mantle if you squint hard enough.
Yeah, so. I mean, if you're looking at getting into Fab and you want to choose a class, you can't really go wrong with choosing Rune Blade off the bat. That's for sure.
I think that's deliberate too. I mean, excuse me. I think the more that I look at the kind of progression path the LSS are trying to build. I mean, you look at the fact she was a first strike deck, and then she's getting an armory deck, and it's just they want that natural progression of, I want to learn how to play Flesh and Blood. Here's the learn to play product. This is the hero I played with the learn to play product. I'll take it the step up to the armory deck, and then I can upgrade the armory deck from there into classic constructed. So I think they want her to be the pathway, and that's largely why you're going to see her being quite a good option moving forward.
Nice. Gold foils were Tide Flippers, and the judge pack was a Ray's Face. You can go back and watch this event on Fab Sweden, so you can see all the action from there. I don't know what went on with the audio, because there didn't seem to be any audio for the event. So, yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Right, let's go on to the next one. We are going to Ireland. The last one in Ireland. The gathering in Limerick always kind of like comes up last. It's the last big hurrah for the Irish. 29 players, so one of their best events that they've had. It's a more of an even field than we saw in Sweden, that's for sure. It's not polarised like we had, but flipping heck. there are so many heroes here for 29 players. It's so good to
this
see.
This is a great mix, and I think this is just kind of indicative of the metagame I expect to see going forward. Again, a little surprised by how little Aurora we have here. It's definitely kind of the big outlier for me. That only one person turned up on that deck, but time and again we're seeing more people picking up KO here. I'm kind of wondering if there is something to be gained in that. KO feels like the kind of fair mid-range deck, that kind of it's still an aggressively starting deck, but it kind of rides that line between being a little bit quicker and then kind of having these big power turns. And that's something that was just very, very poor into Viscerai and into kind of split damage. So maybe he's just got a lot more room to breathe now, especially if Prism is a player, because KO loves to feast on Prism. That's a pretty darn good matchup. So kind of happy to see that kind of turning up. But also, just honestly, this is a much more balanced room. Happy to see a little bit of Syndra, a little bit of Assassin, a little bit of Runeblade, and then just a pile of specialists doing what they do best.
Yeah, I'd love to have recorded this event. So yeah, so much variety to pick. The Subaltern apparently was a CYB Decimator Axe Subaltern. I have heard whispers of such things. After all, you get saving grace if you choose to be Bolton, which is not a D-React anyone else gets access to. Same with Soul Shield and the like. So yeah, if you fancy grinding people to dust, it's certainly one way to do it. Yeah. So let's see the top four. The Bolton didn't make it in though, but right, we've got Indigo Bosworth on new. Now, this is either Shorsha or Searsha Burn. I hope I've said that correctly. On Victor. We've got Dylan Thompson on Prism. He's got 2 Irish national champs. He's the current Irish national champ as well. He did it back to back. 4 Pro Quests, 3 skirmishes under his belt. And then we've got David Russell on Enigma.
So the old fabled illusionist mirror these are 90-90 matchups depending on who you ask. Everyone likes to think they're the one that's ahead. That being said, I think it's pretty close, but I do think it's Prism favoured overall, and it helps that, of course, it's Dylan Thompson on that side on Prism, so I'm gonna stomach that and go with Prism on that side. New Victor is a pretty infamously lopsided matchup, and so I'm going to have to assume this one went to Indigo.
Yeah, it's not the matchup that the Victors want to see. I've made it into the top 4. Who have I got? Great. Okay.
I will sign the slip and get an early lunch. Yeah, but it's definitely winnable, but it's not a fun one.
Yeah, it's like KOs as well. Kanos. I don't want news. I don't want Kanos. Oh, plop. Never mind. Right, so let's see who made it into top 4. So Indigo on new versus Dylan Thompson on Prism. So it's nice to see Dylan's name there. He's been a bit quiet over this RTN season, whether or not he went to the either of the other 2 events, but it's good to see him make it into the finals. Right, who are you going with?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I can't say I know how Dylan's been doing this season. You know, maybe he just gets busy in general, but this is another matchup I think is exactly what you're hoping for when you choose to play Prism. In an event like this, I think she's massively favoured into new, and so I'm going to assume that Dylan took this down.
He did indeed. There we go. He goes into Road to Nationals or national season with a win. So, yeah, it's probably going to be between Dylan and Connor duking it out for the.
He's got to defend
Irish
that
champion,
title, right?
Yeah.
It would have been rather disappointing if he hadn't rocked up to a nationals to defend his own national championship. So,
that'd be amazing. Be amazing if he could make it 3-time champion.
It would be a damn impressive accolade, wouldn't it? So I'm sure there are a few folks over there. Obviously, Conor McGrath, the likes of Ian Holland, that will no doubt want to give Dylan a run for his money. But until they start playing out those cardboard squares, I got no idea who's coming out on top. So we'll have to wait and see.
Right, so we don't know who the national champion is going to be, but we do know what his gold foil was, and here it is.
Ooh, fruity.
Everybody likes one of these. Once I push the play button.
Yeah, there's
I can't say I like all those disgusting Prism cards over the table. Disappointing. Redback playmat though, which is quite a nice one. I'm a big fan of that one.
Yeah, I really like the I really like Trapdoor one.
Yeah, Trapdoor's a really nice one too. Black Widow, obviously wanted by most people. More Tide Flippers. Okay, seen a couple of those this week, and not a bad one. Definitely playable. Maybe not in Prism, but yeah, it's up there. Not a bad one at all.
We have a Judge pack as well. Packs are plenty. Normally people are pretty careful when they open Judge packs, as there's only 2 cards in it.
just the same Jacob. Best of luck.
Nice. Okay, that's actually not bad at all. In general, the armory deck equipment are pretty reasonable hits. Obviously, Savage Sash is the big one that everybody wants, but we won't mind ourselves some feet either. So.
Yeah, indeed. We saw a Savage Sash get revealed last week. We are going to Portsmouth next. We are going to the south coast. to Pompey, as it's known locally. Fistful of Dice in Portsmouth.
I have several questions. As a known Verdance enjoyer, she's definitely been picking up his popularity recently. There's actually a good number of ways to build her as well, truth be told. Kind of leaning towards the Arthur Trehay and or Yuki Lee Bender method with Waning Moon, which is what I've been playing, and honestly having a fantastic time in doing so. Or you can lean more towards the I'm not sure how I'm winning, but I am winning anyway method of Margin Bay. Which obviously is take your pick. Both are very enjoyable. That either way, I'm not entirely sure why there are 4 of them in this event here in Portsmouth. It's not exactly a deck I expected to be tied for first place, but I'm can't say I'm sad to see it. I would definitely love her to find more of a place and more of a footing in the metagame. She's a very fun hero to play. I do think Prism is a bit of a problem for her, truthfully. So hopefully they can manage to avoid the 2 Prisms in the room. 3 Dories, bit of a surprise. Love to see a Rhinar as well. So yeah, decent mix of cool heroes here.
Yeah. Thing is, I always get surprised by Rhinar. I always want him to do better than what he does. You know, especially he's in a meta where basically people don't want to block. So sort of like the Intimidate's not the greatest effect to trying to, you know, banish the card so we can't block
that's exactly it, honestly. Truthfully, I'm a bit higher on Rhinar overall than most people are. I agree the hero probably still needs a bit of help, but he does have a time and a place in the metagame and does do some very powerful things, but it ain't this metagame. As you say, everybody's just kind of eager to keep their whole hand for their turn given the choice anyway, and that kind of makes your hero ability about as useful as Yarva Trades, truthfully, which is not a good place to be. So yeah, I would be surprised if he finds his footing, but I would certainly love to see it.
Okay, so let's go into the top 4. Ed Kennan on Prism. He's got 2 skirmishes under his belt. Violet Byrne on Syndra. Jack Warren on KO. And Kevin Sharples on Verdance. And Kevin has got a skirmish under his belt as well. So matches that we don't particularly see, KO versus Verdance.
No, true. Definitely some surprising ones here in general. I kind of alluded to it earlier. I do think Prism is a favourite into Syndra currently. And as much as I am briefly aware of both players involved in this skirmish, I don't know them well enough to leverage it one way or the other. So we'll go with Ed on Prism, under the assumption that broke the way it's supposed to. KO Verdance is a super interesting matchup. I think it very much depends on both players' understanding of what they think is supposed to be happening. But I do think a Verdant should be able to fatigue KO a decent bit of the time if they tried to play to do so. I think if they tried to throw their Felling of the Crowns and their Plough Unders, things might have got a little bit sticky, depending on how it broke. So I'm gonna, to be honest, I hope this isn't the case because it'll make the finals very unexciting. But I think this was Ed and Kevin.
Ed and Kevin, let's see. 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Okay, well, first of all, fair play to Violet, because again, bit of a dog in the Prism matchup. Definitely winnable for Syndra, but it's good to see you making your way through. This matchup is very interesting, I find. And again, it depends on how Kevin is built, I think. If you're leaning more towards the Waning Moon variations that are packing Calming Breeze and Mental Block, you're like very good at shutting down those kunai flicks and those pesky bits of damage.
Okay.
If you're not, well, things get a little bit more sticky. I hate to bet against Violet. It feels a bit rude. But with not enough knowledge on how this matchup typically breaks, I'm going to hope that Kevin got there. So I'm going to say Kevin.
Okie dokie. He didn't. Violet took this down with Syndra. Congratulations.
No, congrats to Violet.
Yeah, well done.
That's a good result. And definitely goes to show you that Syndra, she's going to be a huge pain in the backside for those decks who want to block efficiently. Just chipping away with those extra bits of damage will add up over time. And unlike something like Jarl, Verdance can't just shatter the flick knives to get through that problem. It's just going to be there for forever. So, yeah, definitely not a big shock. But congrats to Violet. That's a good result.
Well done indeed. Let's go to London now. Last event in London. It's a lot of last offs this week.
It's almost like it's the last week of events or something. Who knows? Yeah. Shocking.
34 players at Darksphere London. This was where UK Nationals 2023 happened. Was that 2022? Sorry,
one of them. Yeah, it all blends together. I mean, we're in Wakefield this year. I won't blame anyone for forgetting that one. But yeah, I mean, this is actually a pretty good representation of what I expect a room of 34 players to look like. Leaning one way or the other. People tend to be like, a little heavier on the ninja or a little heavier on the assassin, the rune blade. Take your pick, but this is pretty close. And again, a lot of the big winners we expected from last week, kind of just picking up the numbers from Viscerai's absence. Really happy to see 3 Vincent. I think people are very much clicking on that. Everyone else was a bit like, well, split damage is gone. We can start playing our decks that were banned to split damage. And got some news for you, folks. There is another split damage deck in the format, and she's actually quite powerful. So I'm hoping to see a bit of a Vincent turnout here.
Yeah, Vincent Jarl match is a bit Jarl favoured. He eats bread and butter, 3s and 6s for breakfast. So
it's tough. Yeah, she's got to do some work to kind of make those culls line up to knock cards out of the way to push damage through, which gets a bit tough. But she has some really fun matchups too. Like Vincent New is a masterclass. Like you kind of want to block, but if you do, they'll banish your blood debt for you. Is that good? Is that bad? Not entirely sure.
No.
And it's a very fun one to navigate. So yeah, love to see her picking up popularity.
Nice. Let's see the top 4. Okay, Samuel Thomas on Aurora's got a skirmish under his belt. Dan Tripp from Push the Point, he's got a skirmish under his belt. He's playing Ira. What a surprise, he's playing Ira. Oh my God.
Shocking.
We could say equally, Jacob Clements on New. He's played New since
pretty much the whole season. Yeah,
pretty much, apart from when he played Enigma, Leon. He's got a Calling Florence under his belt, 3 RTNs, 2 ProQuests, and 2 skirmishes, so he's not too shabby. And Alex Price on Victor, he's got an RTN to his name, but he's just pulled one of the most unfavourable matchups going. But
yeah, I'm not sure how much the Jacob Clements advantage particularly mattered this time around. I'm going to have to say that Jacob was a small bit favoured here just on account of the matchup. Aurora Ira's much more interesting. I do think the matchup can be surprisingly close depending on how Ira is built. She can definitely lean more towards that kind of aggro plan that people were worried about with Flick Knives and Bloodstained Vests before the Zephyr Needle ban, or she can still be that kind of heavy D-react kind of numbers deck. Which could go either way. But I think, regardless of the build, I favour Aurora ever so slightly. So I'm going to guess this was Samuel and Jacob.
Okay. Let's have a look. Poop.
Well, for the record, I'd have probably guessed that way anyway.
Okay, sorry.
So no harm, no foul. But yeah.
Obviously, I missed a slide. Damn. Right, okay. Well done, Jacob. Well done indeed. I don't know what his goal for was. He's kept that quite quiet. I would have thought that would have been on some social media thing to say one. So yeah, New taking the spoils there once again. Let's go over to quite a new shop for Flesh and Blood. I think they've done a skirmish before. It is Geek Retreat in Cardiff, 21 players. So this has got quite a nice spread. There's a Dash Inventor Extraordinaire. She's popped up twice this week so far. Someone wants to try and get her over the line for sure.
I can't say I blame him. It'd be a cool accolade to have on your resume, wouldn't it? But yeah, definitely a few signals here of a store that's a bit newer. Lower numbers of any particular hero means no one's kind of settled in or is moving towards meta heroes per se. 2 Jarl is pretty suggestive of people picking up that armory deck. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Love to see this mixture again. I think time and again this week we've just seen people diversify. There's just a ton of heroes in every room. It's been lovely to see. Shout out to the Betsy again. I am proud of you for trying.
Let's see if she made it, shall we? No, she didn't. But a lot of the Bath contingent went. James Adams playing Levia. He's got 2 ProQuests and a skirmish under his belt. Aaron Boyan playing KO. So it's great to see Aaron come back. Was around for the first nationals and kind of sort of like just dropped out. So yeah, really good to see you back, fella. Lewis Folks on Syndra has got 2 skirmishes, and Tim McCarthy on Prism's got 2 ProQuests.
Cool. Well, so I know all of these players actually. Both Tim and Lewis, reasonable pedigree between them. And so I won't use any tiebreakers there. I'll just default to my normal answer if I do think Prism is favoured into Syndra. So we'll lean towards Tim McCarthy there. Okay. I actually think Levia KO is a very interesting matchup. It has a lot of decision points that are quite interesting. There's quite a lot of blocking for the Brute Mirror. And deciding when to take damage is like very important. Trying to prevent the Levia transformation on the KO side, also very important. So I could definitely see this one breaking either way. Having played the matchup a bunch, I think I would prefer to be on the Levia side just about.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go James Tim in this case.
James and Tim. It was James and Tim.
That's a bit of a Christmas land scenario for James then, because as a Levia, Prism is one of the matchups you are hoping to see. And so I'm going to hope that James took this down on Levia.
Okay, let's see if he did. He did indeed. There we go. Mr. Adams. We've seen him on the show. He came on for the last set of events. So well done. Well done indeed. I played him the night before on our Baz Brawl match. So he was
nice.
and I beat him. So it's one of the only. I actually look. It's a game I actually said I won. Normally I'm like, yeah, I get my ass handed to me. But yeah, he didn't see any Kasai in this one, so he was quite happy that he didn't see any Kasai.
James, I'm so sorry. Look at you winning RTNs, but losing when it counts. Unbelievable.
So it's only 3 times I've ever beat him in my life, but yeah, I was quite happy Friday night, and yeah, I'm glad that glad it spurred him on to win anyway. But he has an interview with Ethan coming out.
Cool.
On the Mansant channel. So hopefully that'll be out in a few days. Go check that out and get James's take on the whole event and using Levia in this new meta. But let's see his gold foil. He's got the best mat. In my opinion.
He does, and now that I'm seeing this video, I think I've seen this video, because everyone was talking about this gold foil, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't know the event it had come from, but I did know the gold foil. Snapdragon Scalers is quite the banger. I mean, it is maybe the best possible hit. If it's not one of the M's, it's up there. It's definitely up there with the likes of your Metacarpus nodes and stuff, so... James, congratulations. Enjoy your shiny feet.
He did very well. It's the one that everybody's been saying, scalers, as they're opening up their packs. So, yeah, I'm really happy for him. Really, really chuffed for you, James. Well done indeed. Ex-Mana Screw player. So, it's always nice to see James do well. Let's go up the north of the country. We are going to Rising Phoenix Games. It is Rising Phoenix Games, even though Google Maps says it's something completely different.
Okay, fair enough. Wow, this is a bit of a surprising room. A little more top heavy than we've seen kind of so far. Been a lot of ones this week so far, but players kind of showing up in force. A bit surprised to see 4 Azalea. I don't rate her massively right now. I could definitely see some rooms she's happy to be in. This one doesn't look too bad, truth be told. But yeah, a lot of the rest of the top of the format here. It's so interesting watching some parts of the country favour Marionette versus New. It's like it's very much a tension point between the assassin community. And again, a little bit surprised to see 3 copies of Verdance here. People definitely enjoying the hero now that she feels like she's not absolute dog water. So happy to see that too. Yeah, this is a really cool event. I'm excited to see how this one broke down.
So let's go back to Azalea. Why is she not actually doing very well? Because... like a massive dominated attack, you'd have thought would be quite good into any meta.
Yeah, she
and with an on hit.
She does a powerful thing, but and does that one powerful thing pretty well, which is a good place to be. But you're okay in a world where you're like always bumping into Syndra's and the like, which is going to be completely okay with you. Ninja's a pretty good matchup for Azalea typically, but even she can play 9 defense reactions at this point and play very potent 2-card or 1-card hands that kind of let her play a fair game and play a fair race. Aurora's really good at circumventing the drawbacks that Azalea presents. Things like Remorseless ping you for every action, and well, all of a sudden half my stuff is an instant, so I guess I don't really care if a Remorseless connects with me. And the Assassins are really happy to see Azalea typically because, well, she needs to keep a critical mass of cards. Like, she's very much about playing a handful of buffs, loading 1 arrow and loosing that arrow. And if you can rip the arrow away, maybe the hand doesn't work. Even if you're taking buffs away, suddenly the arrows are much smaller than they would be typically, and you're just in a pretty favorable position there. So it's just a bit of a rough sledding for her, I think, personally. But there is definitely rooms where she's got potential. And if we see a room that is just like jam-packed with Syndra, I would be pretty happy to be on Azalea, so for sure.
All right, brilliant. Let's see who made it into the top 4. So Ash Parkhouse Pemberton on Azalea. Adam Harbinson on Fang. He's been rocking Fang pretty much all season. I had him on a recorded game at Living Realms. He just missed out on the top tables for Living Realms, sort of like at the end, but it was great to see him doing well. Ahmed Kashi on Arachne, our current UK national champion. So, it was good to see him getting into the top 4. And Kate Dunstan on Verdance.
This is an incredibly cool top 4. Very diverse, very unusual in the way we expect it to be. Dark day when I see Kate playing something that isn't Leviathan. But I do think, wow, this is tough. These are matchups I really don't have all too much familiarity with. I do think Verdance should be fairly comfortable into Arachne Marionette. Not comfortable is maybe the wrong word. Assassins are still pretty coin flippy for Verdance, but unlike something like New, you haven't got to worry about Siren's Call kind of eating your potions out of your hand, which is something that Marionette doesn't really have access to, like New does. So I think I would much rather see a Mario. So I'm hoping Kate managed to take that down on that side. I actually do think Fang is probably a pretty good matchup for Azalea, so we're going to go with Ash on the other side and say this was Azalea Verdance in the finals.
Okie dokie. So.
Wow. Okay.
didn't get the rub there, did it?
No, it did not.
How do you like Fang versus Arachne? Feels like sealed, doesn't it, or draft?
This is definitely a curious one. I think my lack of knowledge on CC Fang is definitely making these harder to gauge. I would have thought this is pretty reasonable for Fang. Truthfully, Warriors are pretty good at operating on limited amounts of cards. He maybe does struggle with it a little bit more because he has to keep those fealty alive, and there's more of a need to keep a couple draconic cards and make sure you can play them out to keep the game plan going. But my heart tells me Fang, so I'm going to lean that way. See if we're right.
Okie dokie. It wasn't. It was Kashi. Kashi
won never bet against a national champ, should you? It's just skill differential, as they say.
Yeah, but Adam's getting better. He's getting better with Fang, that's for sure. Let's go and see a gold foil being opened. Let's see if it is as good as James's.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
better, isn't it?
Oh yeah, dog.
To be honest.
I've got that mat. I love that mat.
The Mangle mat, yeah, definitely an old favourite from way back when. Spider Spy, okay, that's not bad. That's definitely still playable. It's not quite got the gravitas of Snapdragon Scalers, but not a bad one.
It's not, but he grabbed that quick, didn't he? He was just like, whoosh, straight away off the table. Yep.
The frame. Yeah.
Let's see.
It's like he's got a bio waiting in the corner or something, you know?
Maybe. Let's see the judge pack.
Go for it. Yeah.
I love that playmat, by the way.
Does look cool.
The colours are super vibrant on this one.
Can you believe it was on the best day? The easiest day, and he gets to open the best
This is
pack.
not a pipe, as they say from that famous French painting that I got lectured on for years.
They're very carefully opening the pack.
Okay, again, not bad. These Armory deck cards, just pretty reasonable hits here. The Ram Stop, not quite as played, I'll say, as the others. Doesn't tend to make the cut, but definitely better than some of the Judge promos, if you're not so inclined. So, yeah, not bad.
I was going to do the Fabble guess the card, but you were just like straight off the bat. Boom. There we go. It's a Ram Stop.
I guess they pay me to notice small cards on a TV screen and talk about them by name.
Right, the way you learned the ones for the hunting was phenomenal, but you gave everybody tips, that's for sure. You're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I appreciate the compliment. I do my best.
Right, so we shall go over to Wales now. Let's go to Cosmic Collectibles. So the Welsh have picked up 2 events this season, so it's nice to finally get into Wales. Cosmic Collectibles, Welsh pool, 22 players, and Victor is top of the tree for this. Now, I knew he had, he quite likes trouncing the Syndras and the Auroras because he can win those quite easily, but I was not expecting him to be the most, picked player for an event.
Yeah, funnily enough, I knew this one was going to have a decent Victor representation because Manchester literally sent the cavalry. I think, if I'm not mistaken, all 3 Victor players were from Manchester.
Okay.
So I knew they were making their way down. But yeah, very cool to see a decent turnout in Wales, as you say. It's happy to kind of see the breaking territory. 22 players is a good number for your first ever RTN. This metagame is a little reminiscent of a year gone by with the amount of Guardians that are in this room. Not something we've seen for a hot second. So plenty surprised. Hopefully they manage to dodge these pesky illusionists that are lurking a little bit further down the table. But outside of that, a really good mix. And again, just kind of pleasantly surprised to see multiple people playing KO in these events at the minute. I've kind of, again, caught some whispers at the moment that maybe the deck has gained plenty of room. Much like Levia, Viserai was a very bad matchup. So you get a lot of breathing room from him leaving the format. But I just thought he was kind of fine, honestly, very much acceptable. So I'm kind of pleasantly surprised to see people believing it's better than that. And I'm hoping to see it kind of converting going forward.
It might be the former Viserai players have gone back to playing KO. So they need a deck again. So they've gone back.
Yeah, what cards have I got left over? Bugger, shit. I bought this Savage Stash. Might as well use it. Yeah, I mean, maybe some of that.
The top four, Liam Canning. The smartest trousers in the whole of Fab. He's playing Victor. He's against Liam Holden, who's on Aurora. He's been playing Aurora for a very long time. Plays pretty much the same deck as Rob Catton. They tested together, so we know how good that Aurora deck is. So hang on, I have been a bit silly. Liam Canning, 2 RTNs and 2 ProQuest. There we go. Liam Holden, he loves this one. Runner-up at calling Liverpool. 2 ProQuest, 1 Skirmish. Daniel Curry on Syndra and Darren Hazelden on Enigma. He's got 2 Skirmishes under his belt.
Liam, at least you can't give me crap for being the one that insulted you this week. It was certainly not my intention.
It's better than saying first place loser at calling.
I guess. At the end of the day, a calling finalist is a damn good insult to get, I suppose. So, yeah, I really can't complain with that one. That being said, I do have some, unfortunately, rather biased knowledge of how this one broke down, courtesy of Manchester's attendance, as they did make their way down. So, if I recall correctly, this was Aurora Syndra in the final. And then Liam Holden taking things down on Aurora as we got to the end. Okay.
So let's go through that. Let's confirm. So Liam Holden, Daniel Curry in the final, and then Liam taking it. He posted on X as well. So well done, Liam. He's at every event. And he beats himself up so much when he doesn't actually do very well. But he is a fantastic player, and you just keep going, and wins come. So
I've said it on the internet many times. As much as he hates me doing it, he's much better than he gives himself credit for, and he treats himself like he's much better than he is. He's just exceptionally unforgiving on his own results, and it's not fair to him. He's done some incredible stuff, one of the best players in the country, and somehow that will never be enough for his mental state. And I hope one of these days it is, because it deserves to be.
But he picked up a corker in a gold foil. Do you know what it is?
Certainly did, and well, I mean, it's the best one to open. Really, it proves that it's worth opening these envelopes. It's a gambler's club. So you got to gamble on these things. Got to roll the dice and see what gold foil's inside. Sometimes it's a damn good majestic. So yeah, love to see some gamblers clubs out there.
Yeah, I saw that on X. And it was just like, oh my god, what a pull! Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It's a good one. Liam. We're very lucky with the Manchester lot. We're pretty good at opening M's out of these gold foils. I've done 2 of them. I think Liam's done 2 as well. A couple others in the area. So yeah, just beat us in a final if you want a gold foil M. Trust me, they just gravitate towards the envelopes. It's great.
We've got one final one to go. We are going to the lovely Ross in EH Gaming. He's got a draft. Click the thing. Let's go quick. Oh, I've just made it. Right, cool. Okay, so this I was like, oh, just watch the map. It's so pretty. So this is the breakdown. 3 Arachne, 3 Fang, 2 Syndra. Is that a breakdown that you quite like?
Yeah, actually, I think this is the breakdown I expect most often.
Okay.
It obviously ebbs and flows depending on people's preferences, where they are, rares they open, all the normal stuff you expect in Limited. But I'm finding as I play more and more of the Hunted, that Syndra, while very powerful, is definitely the one who is the most susceptible to the die roll. There is definitely a lot of spots where going first is incredibly painful for Syndra if you're not able to draft a lot of block 3s, which is not super easy for her. You end up taking a lot of the blue block 3s pretty aggressively to make sure that you're not just kind of dead in the water going first. But that becomes much harder when there are 3 Syndras. When there are 3 of you fighting for it, the block 3s go pretty quickly, and suddenly all of you kind of suck when you're on the play, which is really not a great place to be. So I'm finding more and more these pods are 3-3-2 with Syndra being the 2. And more often than not, it's kind of like a 4-2-2 than it is Syndra being a 3. So yeah, it's. I think this is honestly perfect. This is where I would prefer to be if I was in a pod. I'd be pretty happy being in any of these seats.
Okay, cool. Let's see the perfect 4. Righty. George Jones. So he's on Syndra. George Jones has got an RTN, a ProQuest, and 2 skirmishes. Ashkan Rashid Sanity's on Fang. He's got an RTN. Tom Gordon, he's not got an event, but he does very well. And Rob Catton, 2 world top 8s, calling Liverpool battle hardened winner, 3 ProQuests and 6 skirmishes.
It's not even my favourite accolade. Rob Catton is one of only 8 people who was eligible to apply for that LSS dev position that got posted recently over on social media.
Someone
you go look
tweeted,
at the
didn't they?
breakdown condition. Yeah, absolutely. There's DM Armada. It's like, oh, they're looking for a dev. I was like, you know what? I'll shoot my shot. Whatever. Why not? Went through the qualifying conditions, and I was like, there are 8 people in the world who are eligible for this job, and Rob Catton is one of them. So, Rob, if you're interested in working for LSS, do go ahead and reach out. That being said, I mean, I'm not betting against Rob in the Arachne Mirror. You know, no offense to Tom at all, but as you say, I've got no results on record there. Don't know enough, and Rob is, well, cracked. So we're going to go with Rob on that side of the table. George Ash, I wish I kind of knew about this because they're both Manchester locals.
Yeah,
I
I
have
thought
no
you would
idea
have,
how this
so,
one
yeah.
broke. No, I was not paying attention for EH, which I'm assuming was on the Sunday. Might have just got caught up in work myself. That being said, I do prefer to be on the Syndra side of this fight given the chance. So I'm going to hope this was George and Rob in the final.
Okay, let's have a look. It wasn't. It was Ash versus Rob. So Fang versus Arachne.
Cool. Yeah, this one. I think Fang is probably the hero you typically want to be on in the face of Arachne, because the format kind of plays like a bit of a triangle a lot of the time. And I would definitely prefer to be a Fang into an Arachne than a Syndra. It's a lot easier for you to kind of have some amount of counterplay. But it really depends on the Arachne list. I find as people kind of draft this format more, one of the Arachne settles on being like the go tall dagger version of Arachne, playing a lot of like scar tissues and you know, these kind of effects that are just, I'm swinging my 1 point dagger, but it's actually an 8.
Yeah.
That it's supposed to be. And then the other kind of leans into the stealth attacks and try and be an agent and so on and so forth. And I think if you're the go tall dagger version of Arachne, you're actually pretty favored into Fang. You do very similar things that they do, but your damage is way more unpredictable than his is. So I have heard whispers of the way certain people prefer to draft this pod.
Okay.
When they are Arachne, so it's going to lean me to leaning towards Rob, and I'm going to assume that Rob took this down.
Okay. Did Rob win? He did indeed. Rob Catton won that event. We have the gold foil. He didn't open it himself. He let Lila open it, his wife.
He does like doing that, and I've always found it very cute.
It's really cool. So let's see what he got. Trixie cellophane.
Worse than the envelope. You know, the envelope's nice and easy these days. Cellophane sucks.
There we go.
Plume, okay.
That's for sure.
Yeah, okay, Plume, I mean, if Verdance keeps getting better, that's not a bad one to have. Admittedly, I have seen a rather interesting uptick in amount of plumes on the marketplace recently, so I get the feeling a lot of people want them gone, but if you're in the market, I mean, that's a good thing for you. And, yeah, definitely a good one if Verdance has some life in the future.
Yeah, well, if Verdance has life in the future, everyone will be wishing that they kept hold of the plumes.
Yep, absolutely. I'll stick with my gold foil, or my cold foil one for now, but I'm sure one of these days I'll make the upgrade.
Now we've got one more video to go. So we like rivalries, you know, especially in the UK. A bit of banter, and this is the gold foil being opened at EH Gaming, but it was won at ProTech. So there's a bit of northern banter, shall we say, in this lovely video.
Right, this
I
was
see.
the winning gold foil by Tom Davies, who travelled all the way up to the armpit that is known as ProTech Games, and I'm delighted that he slayed all before him. So,
Love the evident like Warhammer table mat underneath the envelope here. It definitely adds to the atmosphere.
Thing is, Lee Dalton at ProTech, such a lovely guy as well. So I'm expecting one in return, Lee, next season.
I look forward to hearing all about it.
Now, he had Trixie cellophane there, so do you think he took it off the table and bit the edge just to get into it?
I don't know. Not entirely sure. Might have given it a clamp with his gnashers, who knows. It was definitely proving to be a bit difficult there towards the end. Let's take a look. Okay, Searing Everblade. Very much the middle of the park gold foil. You know, not super exciting, but if you're a Fi enjoyer, it's perfect. So
there you go, folks.
why not?
Yeah, it's it might come into its own. probably Plume's a little bit better than Searing Emberblade at the minute. But
I have them on the same kind of level. They're just kind of they're very hero dependent, and if you're into that hero, they're great. If not, then they're a bit whatever.
Righty. Let's see. These are all the players that have qualified. Okay, so well done to everybody. There is no outright winner for qualifiers because Jacob Clements and Paul Wright have got 3 apiece. So well done to you guys.
I know Paul will be gutted about that as well. He was so proud to be top of the leaderboard last week. Look, I'm finally winning something, Mum. Nope, sorry, Paul. You're not the uncontested winner anymore.
That's what spurs people on, doesn't it? I want to be at the top, and Jacob certainly has got that mentality to just go, I want to win. But he's been out every week playing. And Paul, with Viceroy going, Paul said he was going to take a week off, so it's all right.
Hey, sometimes you got to mourn. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah. So let's finish off the qualifications. There we go. It took 2 pages. I didn't want to put the writing so small you could, you're having trouble squinting on your mobiles because most people are probably watching the show on that. So the meta maps. Let's go over to Sweden. This is how it all wraps up. In years gone by, it was just Guardian everywhere. But it's it's
not a Guardian to be seen. What's happened?
Indeed.
Dark world.
In Ireland, used to be lots of azaleas, but it's so good to see such diversity now. In which heroes are winning around each country. Let's go into Scotland. So Dashio winning there, and Mario. It's a whole lot of assassins and Viceroy though. It's nice to see Prism.
Plenty of Prism in there too. Yeah, exactly.
Prism's won at the beginning of week 1, so it's nice to see sort of like players pick up some wins with Prism right at the end of the season as well. So she's still showing that she's got it.
I think she's better now than she was in week 1. So yeah, expect to see plenty more of her in the future.
Yeah, there we go. So this is the middle of England, as you see, sort of like Viceroy. Every time I look, it's just like Viceroy Mario. Oh, there's an Aurora. But Dash has picked up 2 wins through England.
Yeah. I think truthfully, she's a hero I'm kind of looking at going forward. I have my biases, obviously. We all know that I love a bit of Dash.io. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're in a room where Prism is a great choice and like the likes of Aurora are a great choice, there's some really good matchups with Dash.io. So she's definitely a hero worth looking at.
Yeah, and the south of England, which used to be illusionist territory, is literally becoming a bit of an assassin minefield.
In fairness, three of them are Jacob Clements. So that doesn't really count, does it? That's not an assassin minefield. That's just Jacob. Everybody else is playing something else.
Everybody just goes, "Where's Jacob going this week?" Right, I'll go somewhere else.
I'll go to the other one. Yeah, exactly. It's just that's not exactly fair. Called it a minefield. It's just one person making it look like it's a bit more lopsided.
He did not win at Dice and Destiny over in Canterbury on the East Coast. That was Antonis Kazouris. So he's got 2 wins. He's only got 2 wins out of the 3 news there. But that's because he went to London instead, didn't he? So
my mistake, of course.
So yeah, more news. So go below Northampton. You're in sort of like you're in new territory. So be careful.
Be careful if you're in Northampton too, but for entirely different reasons.
That's because I live there. Right. Skirmish. You get a week off, everybody. 1 week's rest. Skirmish is starting.
It's such a non-stop year. I can't believe it. We have the Skirmish season right into the World Tour in London, and then ProQuest qualifiers for Singapore start the week after London. There is absolutely no reprieve this time around. So I love Skirmish seasons. There's some great prizes for this one. You got the cold foil channel lake fridges and everything. I am probably still sleeping because holy Lord, does the show not stop this year?
Yeah. It kind of feels like a bit like 2023, where you just literally went from Skirmish into the next event. There was no week's grace. 2024, we had maybe 1 week, 2 weeks between each one, but yeah, it's pretty much non-stop. But yeah, either Blitz or Living Legend coming up. Take your pick. I haven't actually gone through and made the dates of where I'll be because obviously, as I said at the beginning of the show, it's just got a bit complicated for me family-wise with people being in hospital. So some things have to be left aside. Right.
Of course.
But Scott, I remember to put your name in. Cheers, Scott.
Honestly, that shouldn't be something I reward you for, but thank you, Baz. I appreciate the fact that you remembered.
It's one of the first things I do now. Is like, who's coming on? Right,
I tell you what, yeah, you made that mistake once, you never make it again, do you? So it's definitely one of them. So totally fair.
I try and learn. See, an old dog can learn new tricks. Get that done. Sweden, Erica, Stefan, Henrik, thank you so much. Go check out sort of like a Fab Counter. Get on the beta if you're streaming or recording games. Use Stefan's sort of like he set up a new server so you can get, instead of trying to mirror the app onto your OBS, you can just go to the server, open up a browser and get it there. So it's a
there's no better life app on the market. I mean, you want to talk about little details. If you're playing as Arachne Marionette, you can switch on this little setting that lets you roll which agent you're about to turn into. So you can press the little button and it'll pick an agent of chaos for you. Like it's so well polished and so well put together, and they both deserve all the praise for that. So yeah, use it, download it. Lord's sake, do yourself a favour.
Yeah, and you can change to the alt art heroes as well. So if you want the Japanese alt art of Dory or Ira or like Viserai, or if you're playing Living Legend, you can play with those alternate art ones.
No expense spared there. Got to look
brilliant.
stylish.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. Ireland, Patrick. The MC, Patrick, thank you so much for keeping me up to date. Well done. And then Joseph Potter, Cole, Rob Catton, Jay Kelly, James Adams, Dave from Darksphere, Paul Goodchild and Cosmic Collectibles. Thank you so much. You've made this entire RTN season, everybody who has contributed, so thank you. If you want to support me further, check out the Patreon and get those sort of like bonuses from, by the same token, Thistle Tavern and PCG. If you do not want to go and support me on Patreon, please subscribe. I have had a massive influx of subscribers. I'm so chuffed that you guys are sort of like, hitting that button, subscribing to me, because the coverage of the RTN season, it's been quite a big sort of like ordeal to get out. But I would say, when you look at YouTube, only 27% of people who watch the show are actually subscribed. So 72%. Yeah, please hit that button.
It does make all the difference, folks. Obviously, honestly, he might not know it, but 27% is actually a pretty good number all around. It can be a bit stickier than that, but we can do better. So if you fancy subscribing, please feel free doing so. Support him on Patreon as well. The UK Fab community isn't the same without Baz the Bard. Quite frankly, European Fab isn't the same without Baz the Bard. So if you like what you see, do us a favor, tick the box. Send in money you maybe send to me. Don't send it to me. That would be a bad idea. So appreciate the support, folks, as always, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, so you get a week off and then see me for the Skirmish season. Let's see sort of like how Living Legend and Blitz pans out, all right? So until then, get some games in and hopefully you win an event and get on the show, all right? Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Report. Welcome to Week 4 Road to Nationals Roundup, and I've been joined by Howling Minds. How's it going, Scott?
It was going well. You threw me off because it says Week 3 on the screen, and I was a bit confused for a second.
No,
you're right. It is Week 4 of RTN season, but no, it's only Week 3 for me. Don't worry about it.
No,
I've been replaced.
Change it now.